Welcome back. This week, Namibia takes center stage on the global stage of peace and security as the nation hosts a high-level meeting commemorating the 25th anniversary of the United Nations Security Resolution, Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, a landmark resolution that was in fact championed by Namibia in the year 2000. This event is hosted in collaboration with the African Union Commission and the SADC Secretariat, and the meeting is a pivotal opportunity to showcase African innovations, highlight grassroots contributions, and reaffirm the continent's commitment to ensuring that women remain at the heart of peace and security efforts. Now joining us this morning to unpack what this significant milestone means for Namibia, Africa and the world is Ms. Helena Kuzee. Ms. Helena Kuzee, the Deputy Director of International Organizations at the Ministry of International Relations and Trade. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, Ms. Helena Kuzee. What does it mean for Namibia to host the 25th anniversary commemoration of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325?
As you've correctly stated, Namibia was at the forefront of not only initiating the Security Council Resolution 1325, but was also the president of the Security Council at the time and presided over its adoption. So this resolution is something that we have integrated into our foreign policy priorities. We've also seen that since the adoption of the resolution, 7 other resolutions have been adopted related to women, peace and security, and these now form what has been commonly termed the Women, Peace and Security Agenda.
How has this resolution influenced participation in peace building and conflict resolution over the past 25 years?
I think before the adoption of Resolution 1325, there was a very skewed vision and perception about the role that women can play in conflict situations, and this resolution has specifically changed that in the sense that women now are not only seen as victims in conflict situations, but are also seen as partners in the peace building, conflict reconstruction and negotiation and mediation process of any conflict. I think we need to take stock of how dynamic conflicts have become. They have evolved significantly. And with that, I think the perspectives that women bring to the table are also important. And the resolution has created the space for women to be able to bring those perspectives.
What notable achievements has Africa made in implementing the Women, Peace and Security Agenda?
The African heads of state and government have specifically been the first continental organization to institutionalize a special envoy on women, peace and security. We now have Ambassador Liberata Mulamula, who has taken over from Madame Benita Diop as the Special Envoy on Women, Peace and Security. Africa has also prioritized women, peace and security on the African Union Peace and Security Council. As you may recall, Namibia has just recently completed, in April this year, we completed a 3-year term on the Peace and Security Council. And when we speak about African solutions for African problems, one of the ways in which Namibia specifically has provided leadership in the African context is that last year, there was an African Union high-level ministerial meeting in Swakopmund, which institutionalized the Swakopmund process, which specifically calls for an increase in women's leadership and representation in AU-led peace and mediation processes. So that's just one of the ways, but I think within the framework of the Silencing the Guns and also the African Union Agenda 2063, there are many ways in which Africa has prioritized the WPS agenda.
So whilst there are a lot of strides that have been made, challenges remain. What are some of these challenges that still limit women's full participation in peace and security processes?
The WPS agenda has got 4 pillars related to participation, protection, relief and recovery, and these pillars are also related to the perception that of the roles people expect women to play in conflict. So I think because women traditionally have roles that are not related to conflict, that is a barrier that we see often. There's not really an understanding of why women should be involved in conflicts. Women providing leadership in negotiation processes is also something in many contexts that is not welcomed. And then just the expectation of the roles that women can play, for example, in security sectors. I think Namibia is a leader in this regard. We have at the moment in the Namibian Police Force, we have a Deputy Inspector General for Administration, Major General Anne-Marie Nainda, who is a women leader who Namibia is actually putting forward as a candidate for the presidency of the Interpol. Additionally, in many other parts of our security sector, both in the Namibian Defence Force and the correctional services, we see strong women leaders being at the forefront of our security sector.
How can the women, peace and security agenda adapt to emerging issues such as climate change, extremism and digital insecurity?
When we come to implementation of the WPS agenda, countries have developed national action plans. For Namibia, we've just completed our first 5-year national action plan from 2019 to 2024. And I think the incorporation of these new and emerging issues into national action plans is one of the ways. The other ways is also grassroots interactions, because conflicts are not the same anywhere in any single country. So countries are differently affected by conflict, and countries are also in different stages, where some countries are currently finding themselves in conflict contexts. Others are emerging from, and they're in their peace building phases. Others are in their nation building phases, in the second or third generation after a conflict situation.
Now, coming back to the anniversary gathering, what are some of the key outcomes and commitments that we're expecting to emerge from this gathering?
So we're delighted that we have this commemoration taking place from tomorrow. We have 3 former presidents who will be joining us. Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, former president of Liberia, Her Excellency Sahle-Work Zewde, the former president of Ethiopia, and also Her Excellency Catherine Samba-Panza, the former transitional president of the Central African Republic. We envisage a Windhoek Plus 25 declaration as an outcome document from the commemoration here. We'll also be having a high-level strategic scene setting where Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah will be the keynote speaker in the opening session tomorrow.
Indeed, the president is female. How can Namibia continue, and lastly, how can Namibia continue to play a leadership role in promoting women's inclusion in peace and security efforts locally and globally?
So Namibia's contribution is not only a symbolic one. I think one of the biggest ways in which we show that we are serious about what we mean is by having so many female leaders, and female leaders who have the opportunity to provide leadership in different contexts. I think a lot of countries look to us not only as a country that says it can be done, but a country that shows it can be done. And as I mentioned earlier, in the roles that we take up, for example, as we did in the African Union Peace and Security Council, providing our leadership there and just bringing our dynamic lived experience because the history of Namibia is grounded with many examples of how women can play a role in not only resistance, but also in the nation building of a country, and also give peer learning and advice. And maybe just to say as a last point that the Namibian government has in 2020 launched an International Women's Peace Center, and this is one of the ways in which that not only at a national level but also at a regional, continental and global level we are able to share our experiences and provide training, etc., on issues related to women, peace and security.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.